What's going on, everyone? Today, 57% of the S&P 500 closed up in the green, but it certainly wasn't all sunshine and rainbows as we had a handful of big names definitely continue their moves to the downside, which dragged the market lower as well. As we all know, we are heading into a very big week as Nvidia is set to report earnings after the bell on Wednesday. All traders have their eyes on this report, and we are seeing a decent amount of selling pressure already come into play. At the same time, we have the Trump tariffs set for Canada and Mexico set to go into effect soon, which the market is certainly eyeing up quite a bit. And at the same time, we are seeing some popular names like Palantir continue to sell off in a pretty brutal way. Apple had some pretty big news today where they announced a $500 billion investment, so we're definitely going to cover that as well. But make sure to stick with us because we have a lot to cover today, and there is a lot of opportunity right now. So, Tom, let's get right to it.
Yeah, the overall market, or the S&P 500, ended up dipping down again, and I thought maybe this morning the overall market kind of gapped up in pre-market, and I was like, maybe we'll post a bit of a recovery today, but that did not happen as the SPY ended up falling back under a key level of $600. We've been watching this level very close, and on Friday, it kind of straddled that at $599.50 and ended up even running down below there today, and then in after hours, it got even worse as the sell-off kind of accelerated and tested that low from the morning. But Mike, I know a lot of traders right now are just upset that the market's falling, and I would just say do not be upset. Continue to adapt in the short term. You might not continue to see the price action that you've been seeing over the past few months. We might have to adapt a little bit, like we're seeing some of these bigger names like Nvidia, Apple, Microsoft, and stocks like that have been fairly weak in the short term. And today, going back to the heat map, Mike, that tech sector did not help the S&P at all. The majority closed up in the green, but whenever you have Nvidia, Avgo, Qualcomm, Intel, and all the chip stocks down, it's going to wear down on the overall market, that's for sure.
No doubt about that. And kind of like what you said, like sometimes it can kind of suck to see some of your longer term holdings falling. But at the end of the day, some of the biggest and best opportunities we see in the market come from situations where everyone else is panic selling. So, whether you're looking for more long term opportunities or even if you're looking for like short term opportunities, some of the best ones normally happen in situations like this. So, continuing on with like what's going on in the market right now, I know a lot of people are eyeing up these tariffs set for Canada and Mexico. As we remember from a couple weeks back, basically Trump was set to tariff Canada and Mexico, and he gave them both like 30 days of like wiggle room, but now these tariffs are set to go back into effect starting March 4th. These will be 25% tariffs across the board with 10% tariffs on Canadian energy, but Tom, it's finally happening.
Yeah, Trump said that they're going forward on time, on schedule. He was asked about it today, and he said that, obviously we're getting taken advantage of, so they're definitely going to go in, at least as of now. Now, Trump might be playing hardball here, right? Maybe he's hoping that there's a solution that maybe comes forward, or maybe they're working out a deal, right? But either way, it sounds like right now they are on track to be going into place. And I know the market has not necessarily loved tariffs overall, and this news started hitting right around the end of the day, like right as the market closed. And I'm starting to wonder if that helped maybe fuel some of that end of day downtrend there. And it definitely has me a little bit worried for the price action heading into tomorrow with SPY closing under 600 and just with more tariff news hitting. It's definitely not positive. I know the market reacted in a pretty good way, Mike, whenever Trump announced that delay or that 30-day wiggle room that you talked about. And then now, of course, that they're going through with them, it might not be the best sign.
That's the thing. Like in the short term, tariffs are not a good sign for the market. They might be good for the long term, but for the short term, they bring upon a lot of uncertainty and just a lot of bearishness. And looking at the price action from today on SPY, that week close certainly is something that should not be ignored. And we're going to dive very deep into the SPY price action as the video progresses, but it's just something worth noting. So keep that in mind. But at the same time, we have a huge earnings week ahead of us. As we all know, Nvidia reports after the bell on Wednesday. But Tom, there's even like a handful of big reports before then too.
Yeah, I know. And even tonight we had Hims, Tempest, Riot, Cleveland Cliffs, Zoom all reporting in after hours. And I will say, Nancy Pelosi's not going to be too pleased with the way Tempest is moving down in after hours right now. Let's just go from like around where it closed today. Looks like they're down around somewhere like 11%, maybe 14% at the low and after hours. This one is a pretty wild and volatile stock there, but there's plenty of other reports as well. Tomorrow, even Home Depot and pre-market will be pretty interesting. And I tomorrow, Mike, am really interested in FSLR for the solar sector. I know that those solar stocks have been pretty wild the past few years, and I'm sure a lot of people are going to be eyeing up Lucid as it's one of the favorites in the EV sector. But there's been so many popular stocks lately like Tempest and Hims is down as well.
I know, and quite a bit too. And here's the thing, with earnings stocks, especially stocks that move in like a momentum-driven way, like Hims, TEM, and many other names listed, there's a lot of opportunity riding the momentum after the earnings report comes out as well, rather than just like gambling on which way the stock will move before the earnings report actually comes out. So basically, with Hims, TEM, Zoom, and all of these other names, keep them on the radar for multiple days after they report, because we oftentimes see better moves, especially in terms of like risk adjusted moves in those situations. So definitely keep them on the radar. And I would say, Tom, that this earnings season has been pretty good for like earnings continuation style plays.
Yeah, it definitely has. Like last week, we saw a couple reports like Walmart and Block, or ticker symbol XYZ. But going over to Walmart, like you guys can tell, they had a pretty nasty report there on Thursday morning. And then as we traded on Friday, and then even this morning, there was a lot of bearishness on Walmart for that continuation play. And then XYZ or Block has even a better example here where they ended up flushing the day after earnings. Then even today had that great continuation. So keep looking for good continuations. It's unfortunate though, Mike, that they're kind of to the downside right now, but that's just how it is, and we might just have to adapt on a couple of these.
You know it. And then we can't forget about the economic schedule either. And looking at this week's economic schedule, it's certainly not as exciting as the earnings lineup, but we do have a handful of important events. Most of the important data this week will happen on Friday, 1 hour before the market opens, as we'll have PCE data and personal income and personal spending data release. Keep a close eye out for this, and we will cover it more as the week goes on. There's also some data that'll release 1 hour before market open on Thursday, which is the GDP and durable goods data. This data isn't as important as the data that'll release on Friday, but it definitely does have market moving potential if it comes in strong enough. So either way, keep these on watch. But I don't think we can move any further, Tom, until we talk about what is going on with Palantir. This poor thing is in free fall, Tom, and down another 10% today. What is going on here?
Yeah, this is a pretty crazy drop in the short term, Mike, and a lot of traders are kind of eyeing up this gap to fill to around $85 here. But man, there's just so much negativity with Palantir in the short term, and this was coming off of a string of what seemed like never-ending positivity for them as well. It seemed like nothing could ever hurt this stock, and then out of nowhere, we come out, Carp, he's changing his share sale plan, selling billions of dollars worth of Palantir shares. And then we also have the Pentagon with their budget cut news that hit late last week. And we're seeing a pretty big drop off from this overall situation, Mike, and definitely is not good for Palantir in the short term. And it's kind of nuts to say, but from their peak, at least on the daily chart from the past few days, they've already pulled back 28%. And if they fill this gap to like $85 even, they'll be falling down essentially 32%, almost like 1/3 of their price just gone within a week. So pretty crazy drop here by Palantir, but I will say it's creating some good discounts. I know a lot of people are going to be looking to buy up this dip eventually.
Yeah, Tom, I was looking at the intraday price action, and I could just see people getting liquidated, because when you have a stock that has been flying high for this long and, just has that much hype to it, whenever the tide turns, it's just like everyone rushes for the exit all at once, which is exactly what we're seeing right now with this PA. So, looking at the stock now, it is a decent amount under that key $100 past support level, now resistance. What are the key levels to watch at this point?
Yeah, I really do like the support level down here where the gap is going to fill. And I'm not going to necessarily say that like the gap's filling here. I just really like the support at the end of the day at $85 where Palantir peaked in the past. This was a pretty clear zone where there were a couple of obvious rejections here on the daily chart. So I will be watching that as Palantir drops. That'll be a big level to watch for as a target. And for tomorrow, I really do like this $89 to $88 support from today. If we end up breaking under that for tomorrow, that's where I'll like to maybe look for that push down towards 85. And you can tell how around the end of day and even in after hours here, it's trying to test that key support where it bounced this morning.
Very good to know. And another observation when it comes to Palantir in the short term, this stock trends in a way that is stronger than most other stocks. We could see that, especially over the most recent week, most of the price action has been to the downside. But even on the 20th of last week, we did see a very strong intraday uptrend. So with this stock, the best thing I could say is that you just have to adapt with the trend changes. Right now, it's mostly in a bearish way, and that's okay. But the good thing with it is that it does trend very strongly, which is great for ultra short-term scalps. You know, if you're someone who loves this company for the long term and that is what your outlook is, then, you know, this doesn't really apply to you. And, you know, maybe you should look for much more broader dip buys. But either way, this is one definitely worth keeping on the radar, and it's one of the hottest stocks in play right now.
It really is. Palantir has really taken the market by storm, and it's really risen in popularity. And of course, like we can really tell, Mike, that the volume has been really picking up here on this one over the past couple of years. Like if we zoom out, you can tell like some of these peaks, like on the volume down here at the bottom, end up rising quite a bit. And I would say that just the popularity with it in general has been out of control. It's definitely up there with like the likes of Nvidia and other big names like that right now. And talking about other big names, Mike, Apple actually had a bit of news today where they're going to be investing in the United States, which sounds really good. It looks like they're going to be opening an AI server factory in Texas, which could maybe result in 20,000 jobs. And this is going to be 250,000 square feet as well. So, hey, good news for Apple. You know, it sounds like they're getting buddy-buddy with Trump. And I know Trump's been really loving these investments in the U.S.
I can only imagine Trump's face when he heard this news. But yeah, $500 billion investing into the United States is going to be like a huge factory in Houston, Texas, and it's set to open in 2026. So, you know, the stock didn't really move too much off of this news, but I would say it definitely gives... it definitely puts Apple on the right side of Trump's judgment. So either way, keep a close eye on Apple in the short term. They have been like a little bit slow, I would say, though.
Yeah, I would say so as well. I will say, though, today's price action was pretty good compared to the other tech stocks. Like, if we go over to the heat map, we can see that, like, Nvidia, Meta, Microsoft, Google, Amazon, even Tesla, everything was down in the red, and there was one tech stock that squeaked out a little bit of a gain there with Apple at 0.63%, and I think it was definitely because of this news that hit this morning, so maybe just watch Apple in the short term. They have been dipping a lot, Mike, on the daily chart, but they've been starting to recover. And, you know, if they start to test that recent high here, they're going to look pretty good, especially while stocks like Microsoft are stuck and even kind of breaking supports here.
Yeah, true that. I think the biggest thing with Apple right now is that if it can gain enough momentum to truly like attract more attention is what's going to be like the make or break for it. You know, it has been holding up fine, but it's just like lacking that like explosive movement that everyone's like ultimately waiting for. So if we can see more of that develop, then there could be more opportunity. But until that happens, maybe keep this one just on watch in general. But Tom, shifting over to SPY, it's certainly not looking the strongest right now. So what are the key levels to watch?
Certainly not, especially after that end of day drop today. I was really eyeing up that low of day today around 596.50, and I'm definitely going to be watching that for a potential breakdown tomorrow. Kind of like how we were watching the low from Friday, right around 599.50 to 600. And once that broke down today, there was a pretty decent scalping opportunity down below there. So I will be watching that support if we do break this. Now, to find some of these levels on SPY, you do have to go back a little bit on like an an hourly chart to plot some of these out. But I'm really watching for 590 over the next few days. If the SPY keeps dipping, that is going to be the most major support that I keep on the radar. And before we get there, I'd also like 595 as well. So that's really what I'm watching for, Mike, as the SPY starts to fall off. I hope I saved your guys' eyes today because I cleaned up the SPY charts.
There we go. And yeah, looking at SPY, that recent price action has been pretty weak, and we do have some pretty important support approaching. So in a perfect world for the bulls, we hold these support levels strongly, but at the same time, this price action certainly doesn't look all that great. And I definitely do have a relatively bearish, bias in the short term. That doesn't mean the market has to fall tomorrow. But, when we just look at everything, especially some of this recent PA and how the market has been, especially towards close, it shows that there is a lot more bearishness out there than we've seen in recent weeks. And plus we have the tariff risk in news in action as well, so it should be an exciting next couple weeks.
Yeah, definitely. And one thing that also concerns me is how we're under 600 again. Like, we actually just made new all-time highs on the SPY last week, and now we're, flipping the script here so quickly. But that's really what can happen in the stock market. The script can flip at, like, the snap of your fingers, so to say, and it's not necessarily something that is that surprising. We see this happen from time to time with the SPY. As it runs up and makes new highs, it will turn over on these overall uptrends. So just be ready for little pullbacks and keep this 596.50 support on watch, because as long as we're staying under 600, it's not the best sign.
Alrighty, well, with that being said, Tom, let's jump right into some setups and predictions. A stock that is definitely close on watch is WBA, and it is to the upside. This stock has been taking quite the beating over the past few years, and it has been slowly gaining more momentum over recent weeks and months. We could see that ever since, you could say, around September of 2024 is when it started to just consolidate and start to hold its ground. And then ever since, you could say, December and maybe even January of, January of 2025, of course, we have been starting to see more of that like upside momentum-based price action, which is really good to see. WBA is definitely on my bullish radar right now, as it has been continuously making higher lows, and even today it popped up by like 6.5%, which is certainly a lot for a company like this one. It does have some recent resistance right around that $11.20 area. If we could see a clean break through that, that would be a great sign for a breakout.
Yeah, I do like that resistance there in the short term, Mike. And one thing I also really love about this setup right now is that we just had a really good uptrend and a really good green candle on Tuesday of last week. And then we had a nice consolidation. And today was like a really good confirmation off support. I'm definitely going to be watching for that 1120 breakout as well. I don't want to get everyone too excited, but this one's definitely one of my favorites of the video tonight. That's for sure. But with my my first setup, I should say, I'm looking at QBTS to the downside. We're seeing a lot of these quantum stocks, unfortunately, pull back here. QBTS has been trying to recover up on the daily chart, but as of the past 2 trading days, started to post some really nasty PA with the overall market. So if I do see QBTS pull under the low from today around $6.25, I'm going to just keep looking for more of a pullback, as I feel like a lot of these stocks got a little bit overhyped and overextended in the short term.
Yeah, no doubt there, and they're definitely a group of stocks to keep on the radar because they do move quite a bit. So good stuff there. And another stock that is close on watch is UVXY, and it is to the upside. I covered this one in yesterday's video, and this is basically an ETF that shoots to the upside when panic and fear is rising in the market. It follows volatility, where the crazier and especially the more the market's falling, the more UVXY goes up. It didn't really move up too much today, but as we can see in other recent market drops, it certainly has the potential to move to the upside quite a bit. We could see through some of these more notable recent drops, like the panic in December, UVXY popped up by like 56%, which was great to see. And then when you zoom out to like the drop from July of 2024, UVXY went from like $20 a share all the way up to highs of $65 a share just on the daily chart. So it certainly has that like parabolic potential.
Yeah, mine too. It's definitely a stock that does pretty well. And even like today from open, I know it doesn't seem like it because of the percentage gain from yesterday's closing price, but from where it opened today to the high of day, it even had like a 7% run there as the market dipped it open. But with my next setup, I'm looking at Netflix to the downside. I did not like the way that Netflix moved under $1,000 today. I thought this was actually a very, very telling sign. And the way that it rejected back under there around market close with all that negativity with SPY at the end of the day was not good to see either. So SPY's under 600. We have Netflix under 1,000. These are some pretty big psychological levels here. And on the Bookmap, there is some buyers stacked up around 980 on Netflix. So I really want to see a good break of that buy wall for tomorrow for this overall pressure to continue. And then I'm also going to use $1,000 now as a major resistance. And I'm sure that we'll see some sellers pop in there tomorrow. So if you're interested, maybe hop on the live stream or hop in the Discord and ask for the Netflix Bookmap or the X-ray vision, as we like to call it. But definitely check out the link in the descriptions down below because the X-ray vision is very, very helpful, especially at identifying good supports and even overhead targets.
There we go. So sounds good there, Tom. And besides that, we are all clear for today's momentum plays. And with the first one, we have BBAI to the downside.
Yeah, BBAI is dropping a lot in after hours. There's a lot of momentum here, so keep that in mind. But I'm really going to look for a break under 570 for tomorrow morning.
All right, with the next one, we have LUNR also to the downside.
Yeah, another growth stock that's a little bit overpriced or overextended in the short term, starting to pull back. If they break under 1667, then keep watching them down.
Alrighty, and then with the last one, we have LVS, but to the upside.
Yeah, LVS actually was kind of surprising today, having a nice green day and up over 2.4%. But if they can break out above 45.50, then keep watching them to the upside. This is right above a double top.
Sounds good. So we have LVS, LUNR, and BBAI all on watch for potential continuations tomorrow. If and only if they break through the levels listed, the stronger and more consistent these stocks move, the better these setups become. Basically, with these stocks, like all other setups you ever trade, you have to have stop losses and you have to adjust with the trends as they unfold. So keep that in mind. And besides that, Tom, we are all clear for today's $615,000 big money trade. And we are looking at ticker symbol DG. So Dollar General, today the big money bought the 86 strike call options that expire on March 28th of 2025. This is a $615,000 trade where the big money is risking $615,000 to make $2.9 million. For my advanced traders out there, this is technically a call debit spread where they also shorted the 100 strike call options. Looking at this trade, DG has been pretty overextended to the downside for some time now, and it has been holding its ground pretty strongly over the past few weeks and is definitely building more and more upside momentum. And besides that, Tom, I mean, it's quite the interesting trade considering that this has like a little bit over a month of time to it.
Yeah, it is very short term, and Dollar General, like you said, has been pulling back quite largely, to say the least. I mean, I might have to start calling it Donkey Dollar General or something. That's an inside joke. If you know with that one. But with DG, that was a big gap down they had, and I'm not surprised to see them starting to trend back a little bit. You know, Mike, I mean, I could see shorts covering here and just traders trying to buy up the dip in general as it's very, very low. But in the short term, it is starting to trend pretty well. And something that's extremely interesting is the strong negative correlation to SPY being minus 0.91. It's almost like this is an inverse to the SPY with how it rises whenever SPY drops. But I know Dollar General and some of these stocks associated to like low cost, like retailers and stuff, they do move in a weird way compared to the overall market. So it's not really overly surprising.
Yeah, so either way, keep a close eye on this one. Whenever you have a big money trade, risking $615,000 to make $2.9 million, especially in a short-term option like this one, it's, worth keeping on watch. So good stuff there. But as a side note, if you guys have not already subscribed to the channel, definitely consider doing that. If you do, you'll get our videos recommended to you more often. Every single day, we cover the most important news, information, earning setups, big money plays, and everything you have to know about the market in around 20 to 25 minutes or less. It takes us hours to make these videos, and we cover everything you have to know. So consider obliterating that subscribe button. But besides that, Tom, I'm pretty excited for the market in general right now. We have a huge week ahead of us, especially with these NVIDIA earnings. We're already seeing some pretty strong momentum-driven price action, and as we know with SPY, it is at some pretty key levels right now.
Yeah, $600 will be crucial to watch for over the next couple days. If SPY sticks under this $600 level, I'm going to continue to be bearish and adapt to the downside in the short term. And there's a lot of tech stocks starting to sell off and test supports, like Microsoft and NVIDIA's earnings, of course, like you mentioned, are going to be the most influential thing on the week in my eyes. So let's go, Mike. It's an exciting time to be a trader. Just keep adapting. Don't get ran over by the market, right? Some of these other opportunities with UVXY and even like puts on SPY can be very advantageous in the short term.
Yep. All right, Tom, we can't move any further until we give a giant shout out to today's member of the day, Benny C. in the StockedUp trading floor. He had an amazing post today, and he's a great member of the community. We could see many screenshots he posted here, and among many other things, he said, "I can't thank the StockedUp crew enough and all the members within. Patience, disciplined, respect the StockedUp creed, truly blessed. LFG, God bless, Godspeed, let's go." So huge shout out to you, Benny. Thank you so much for being a great member of the community, and we love having you in the group. And keep on rolling on all fronts. It's awesome to see posts like this one, and I have a feeling we're going to see many more of them as the year goes on. Thank you all so much for tuning into tonight's video. Again, don't forget to demolish that subscribe button to get our videos recommended to you more often. But besides that, let's crush it in the market tomorrow.